If you want to know the secret to making a woman deeply obsessed, not just interested, not just attracted, but invested in you, it's not about games, it's not about tactics, and it's definitely not about pretending to be someone you're not. It starts with a simple but powerful question: why do you want her to be obsessed? Because the truth is, obsession isn't something you get from someone, it's something you inspire in someone. And you can't inspire someone if you're unclear about what you stand for. People don't fall in love with what you have, they fall in love with what you believe. If you're looking for a woman to be deeply captivated by you, you have to stand for something bigger than yourself. A mission, a purpose, a vision for your life that's so compelling, she doesn't just want to watch from the sidelines, she wants to be part of it. But vision alone isn't enough. A woman doesn't just want excitement, she wants security. She needs to know that if she's going to attach herself to you, you're going to show up. Over and over again, in the small moments, in the big moments, in the inconvenient moments. Consistency builds trust, and trust is the soil where deep emotional attachment grows. Every time you follow through, every time you keep your word, every time you show up even when it's hard, you're telling her, I'm safe. And let me tell you, safety is addictive. But it's not just about making her feel safe, it's about giving her something to believe in. Think about the greatest leaders in history. People didn't follow them because they had power, they followed because they believed in their why. A woman doesn't want to just love a man, she wants to believe in him. She wants to know that by standing beside you, she's part of a story that matters. She's part of something that's going somewhere. If there's one thing most men miss when it comes to relationships, it's this. They focus too much on how to attract a woman instead of asking why they want to attract her in the first place. They search for techniques, tactics, clever lines, strategies to win attention, but they forget that attention is shallow, it's fleeting, it's transactional. And no woman worth your time is going to fall deeply for a man who's just trying to impress her with a set of borrowed moves. The truth is, women don't fall in love with the what or the how. They fall in love with the why. Why do you do what you do? Why do you wake up every morning? Why do you choose the path you're on? Why are you the way you are? That's the stuff that draws a woman in, not because you're telling her, but because you're living it. Your why is what makes you magnetic. It's not loud, it's not flashy. It's a quiet confidence, a clarity of purpose that speaks louder than any words ever could. Most people go through life looking for someone to complete them. But if you're starting from a place of incompleteness, from a void that you expect someone else to fill, you're already setting yourself up for disappointment, because no one can fill that gap for you. Your why has to be yours. It's the thing that gives your life meaning even when no one's watching, even when no one's applauding, even when no one's showing up for you. A woman becomes deeply drawn to a man who's not chasing her approval because he's already grounded in something bigger. He's already moving in a direction that matters to him. He's not asking, what do I need to say or do to make her like me? He's asking, what kind of life am I building and who's willing to walk with me? That shift from seeking approval to seeking alignment changes everything. Because when a man knows his why, he doesn't just offer a relationship, he offers a mission, he offers a vision, he offers a sense of belonging to something greater than just the two of them. And that's what makes a woman feel safe to let down her guard, to open her heart, to invest herself fully. It's not the flowers or the dinners or the compliments that create deep attachment. It's the sense that she's stepping into a partnership with a man who knows where he's going. Without a why, every relationship turns into a performance. You find yourself trying to meet expectations, trying to play a role, trying to hold together an image that doesn't even feel authentic. And the worst part, she can feel it. People are incredibly good at sensing inauthenticity. You don't have to say a word. Your energy says it for you. When you don't know your why, you're unstable, you're unpredictable, you're reactive, you're at the mercy of every emotion, every fear, every insecurity. But when you're anchored in your why, you become steady, you become trustworthy, you become someone she can count on, not because you're perfect, but because you're consistent. And consistency builds trust. And trust is the foundation of deep love. So if you really want to make a woman obsessed, stop asking, how do I impress her? How do I win her over? How do I get her attention? Those are the wrong questions. Start asking, why am I here? Why do I want to love someone? Why do I want to share my life? Because when you answer those questions something powerful happens. You stop chasing and you start attracting. And that's the secret. A woman doesn't fall deeply because of what you do. She falls deeply because of who you are. And who you are is defined by the why you carry inside you. The clearer you are about that, the more naturally everything else will follow. Love isn't something you manufacture. It's something you invite by the way you live. And it always starts, not with how, but with why. When it comes to love, most people think passion is what keeps a relationship alive. They believe it's the grand gestures, the surprises, the fireworks. But the truth is, those things may get attention, they may create excitement, but they don't build depth. What builds depth, what builds trust, what builds safety is consistency. It's the quiet, steady presence that says, I'm here and I'm not going anywhere, and that's something far more powerful than any fleeting emotion. A woman doesn't fall deeply in love with chaos. She doesn't fall deeply in love with unpredictability. At first, the highs and lows might seem thrilling, even intoxicating. But eventually they create anxiety, they create doubt, and doubt kills connection. What she craves at her core is a sense of emotional security, a deep knowing that the person she's opening her heart to will be there not just today, but tomorrow, and the next day, and the day after that. Consistency isn't glamorous, it doesn't make headlines, it's not the thing movies are made about. But it's the thing that makes love last. It's the daily choice to show up, even when it's inconvenient. It's the willingness to be present, even when you're tired, even when life is hard, even when you don't feel like it. Because love isn't proven in the grand moments, it's proven in the ordinary ones. Every time you keep your word, every time you follow through on a promise, every time you make time for her when you could have made excuses, you're sending a message. You're safe with me. And over time, those small messages build a foundation that's unshakable. She doesn't have to wonder where she stands. She doesn't have to second guess your intentions. She doesn't have to play games to get your attention. Because your consistency eliminates the need for insecurity. Most men underestimate how attractive reliability really is. They think they need to be mysterious, unpredictable, hard to read, but mystery wears off. And what's left underneath matters so much more. A man who can be counted on day in and day out becomes the anchor in her life, not because he's perfect, but because he's dependable. And in a world full of disappointments, a dependable man is rare. You see, consistency isn't about being boring, it's about being trustworthy. And trust is the fuel for deep emotional connection. Without trust, love can't grow, it can't deepen. It stays shallow, fragile, easily broken. But with trust, a woman feels safe to let you see her fully. She feels safe to be vulnerable. She feels safe to love without holding back. And that's when the relationship moves from surface level attraction to something profound. But here's the challenge. Consistency isn't a one-time decision. It's not something you do for a week or a month to win her over. It's a lifestyle. It's a commitment to integrity, to showing up, to aligning your actions with your words, not just when it's easy, but especially when it's hard. Because life will test you. Emotions will fluctuate, circumstances will change, and in those moments, your consistency is what proves your character. A woman doesn't fall deeply because you impress her. She falls deeply because you earn her trust, little by little, day by day. And you earn trust through consistent action, by being the same man when things are good and when things are hard, by standing by your values even when no one's watching, by making her feel safe in the knowledge that she never has to wonder if you're going to disappear, if you're going to change the rules, if you're going to pull the rug out from under her. In the end, consistency builds safety, and safety builds love. Not the kind of love that burns out quickly, but the kind that grows stronger over time, the kind that creates a home for both of you, the kind that makes her feel not just wanted, but chosen every single day. And that's the secret most men overlook. It's not about being perfect. It's not about never failing. It's about showing up again and again, proving through action that your love can be trusted. Because when a woman knows she's safe with you, she doesn't just fall in love, she stays in love. A woman doesn't just want to love a man. She wants to believe in him. She wants to believe in who he is, what he stands for, and where he's going. Love is not just an emotional connection. It's a belief system. It's a decision to trust, to align, to follow. And if you want a woman to be deeply invested in you, it's not enough to be attractive, successful, or charming. Those things might capture attention, but they won't sustain devotion. What sustains devotion is giving her something to believe in, something bigger than you, something beyond just being in a relationship for the sake of it. People don't commit to people, they commit to visions, they commit to missions, they commit to stories that matter. And every man needs to ask himself, what story am I inviting her into? What future am I asking her to build with me? If you don't know the answer to that, you can't expect her to give her heart fully, because she's not just giving her time or affection, she's giving her life. And no one wants to invest their life in something aimless, something that's not going anywhere. A man who has no direction will eventually lose her trust, even if he's kind, even if he's loving, even if he's well-intentioned. Because at the end of the day, love without direction feels unsafe. It feels uncertain, and uncertainty breeds insecurity. But when a man knows his path, when he's clear on his purpose, when he's building something meaningful, he becomes magnetic, not because he demands loyalty, but because loyalty naturally follows clarity. A woman wants to believe that by standing beside you, she's standing beside something that matters. That by loving you, she's aligning herself with a mission that makes her life better, richer, deeper. This doesn't mean you have to have everything figured out. It doesn't mean you need a 5-year plan or a perfect roadmap. It means you have a reason for why you get up every day. It means you have values that guide you, principles you won't betray, a future you're working toward, even if you don't know all the steps yet. It means your life has meaning beyond the relationship, and because of that, the relationship itself gains meaning. Too many men make the woman their entire purpose. They put her at the center of their life. And at first, it might feel flattering, it might feel romantic, but over time, it becomes a burden. No woman wants to carry the weight of being a man's only purpose. She wants to walk alongside a man who's already moving towards something meaningful. She wants to support a mission, not be the mission. And when you give her something to believe in, something she can be proud of, something she can contribute to, something she can build with you, you're not just offering her love, you're offering her significance. You're saying your love isn't just received, it's needed, it matters here, it makes a difference. That's what makes her stay. That's what makes her invest herself deeply. That's what makes her obsessed, not in a controlling or unhealthy way, but in a way that says, I can't imagine not being part of this, because she's not just loving you, she's loving the journey you're on. And the beautiful thing is, when you invite a woman into a mission, she brings her strength, her wisdom, her heart to it. She doesn't just follow passively. She contributes. She challenges you. She refines you. And together, you build something that neither of you could have built alone. That's the power of giving her something to believe in. It elevates love from a feeling to a partnership, from romance to purpose, from temporary excitement to lasting devotion. And in a world full of men asking women to settle for less, be the man who invites her to something more. Because when she believes in you, she doesn't just fall in love. She commits her heart, her energy, her loyalty to a shared future. And that's the kind of love that doesn't fade. That's the kind of love that transforms both of you. Most men think they have to perform to win a woman's love. They think they need to impress her with accomplishments, charm her with clever words, dazzle her with gestures that make her feel special. But the truth is, the more you try to perform, the more you create distance. Because performance is about proving, presence is about being, and what a woman really wants, deep down, is a man who can be fully present with her, not distracted, not pretending, not trying to be something he's not, just there. Presence is powerful because it says, you matter to me right now. There's nowhere else I'd rather be. It's undivided attention. It's looking her in the eyes without scrolling your phone. It's listening without waiting for your turn to speak. It's creating a space where she feels safe to share her heart, her fears, her dreams, knowing she won't be judged or dismissed. And that kind of presence is rare. In a world full of men trying to be impressive, the man who chooses to be present stands out. Performance puts pressure on both of you. When you're performing, you're constantly thinking, am I enough? Did I do it right? Does she approve? And then whether you realize it or not, she feels that pressure too. She feels like she's part of a show, like she has to play a role to keep up with the image you're projecting. But presence removes the masks. It says, I'm here as I am, and I'm inviting you to be here as you are. That's intimacy. That's where real connection begins. A woman doesn't fall deeply for the highlight reel. She falls deeply for the man who's willing to let her see the whole story. Not just the victories, but the vulnerabilities. Not just the confidence, but the fears. Not just the answers, but the questions. And that kind of honesty can only happen when you stop performing. Because performance demands perfection. But presence makes space for imperfection. And it's in that space of imperfection that trust grows. When you're fully present with a woman, you're telling her, you don't have to compete with my distractions. You don't have to compete with my insecurities. You don't have to earn my attention. You're offering her the greatest gift you can give, your time, your attention, your undivided self. And that gift is what makes her feel seen. And being seen is what makes her feel loved. Presence isn't passive, it's active. It requires effort. It requires putting down the phone, turning off the noise, slowing down enough to notice what's really happening in the moment. It requires patience when she's emotional, gentleness when she's vulnerable, curiosity when she's opening up. It's not about fixing her problems, it's about being with her in them. And sometimes that's harder than performing, because performing gives you control. But presence requires surrender. Most men are afraid of presence because presence invites depth. And depth is scary when you're used to staying on the surface. But if you want a woman to be deeply obsessed, not just attracted, not just interested, but truly invested, you have to be willing to go deep, to hold space for emotions you might not fully understand, to sit in silence when there are no easy answers, to be steady even when the moment feels uncertain. Performance fades. The show can't last forever. Eventually the mask slips, the act gets tiring, the energy runs out, but presence endures. Presence builds a foundation that doesn't depend on circumstance, achievement, or excitement. It's the quiet, steady reminder, I'm with you, I'm not going anywhere. You don't have to earn this. And that's what creates safety. That's what makes a woman feel like she can let down her guard, open her heart, and give herself fully. In the end, a woman doesn't need a man who's always performing. She needs a man who's willing to be real, willing to be imperfect, willing to be here. Because it's not the perfect moment she'll remember. It's the moments when you showed up fully, even when you had nothing to prove. And when you choose presence over performance, you don't just win her attention, you earn her trust, her respect, and her love. Most men believe they need to lead with control to gain respect, admiration, and love. They think being in charge, having all the answers, and staying emotionally guarded will make a woman feel safe, impressed, and drawn in. But control is an illusion. Control creates distance. Control keeps people at arm's length. If you want a woman to truly feel connected to you, not just attracted on the surface, but deeply, soulfully connected, you don't lead with control. You lead with vulnerability. Vulnerability doesn't mean weakness. It doesn't mean oversharing or being needy. It means showing up fully, with honesty, with courage, willing to let her see who you really are beneath the armor. It means saying, I don't have it all figured out. It means admitting when you're afraid, when you're uncertain, when you failed. And that level of openness is what builds intimacy. That's what makes her feel safe to open up in return. Because she's not falling in love with a perfect man, she's falling in love with a real man. When you lead with control, you're constantly managing an image. You're trying to keep everything looking polished, together, impressive. But every moment spent controlling is a moment spent hiding. And she can sense it. She may not be able to explain it, but she'll feel like something's missing, like there's a wall between you. Like she's only seeing part of you, not the whole man. And the longer you hold on to control, the harder it becomes to let her in. But when you lead with vulnerability, you invite her into your world. You show her the cracks, the questions, the places where you're still growing, and something beautiful happens. Instead of losing respect, she leans in closer. She doesn't see you as weak. She sees you as courageous, because it takes far more strength to say, I'm scared, than it does to pretend you're fearless. It takes more confidence to admit, I made a mistake, than to hide behind excuses. Vulnerability is the ultimate display of strength, because it requires you to stand in truth without guarantees of approval. A woman doesn't want to feel controlled by you. She wants to feel connected to you. She doesn't want to be managed. She wants to be trusted. And she wants to trust you. But trust isn't built through dominance or authority. Trust is built through authenticity. When you're vulnerable, you create space for mutual respect. You give her permission to be fully herself too. You set the tone that says, we don't have to be perfect here. We just have to be honest. And that honesty is where love grows. Leading with control is rooted in fear. It's driven by the belief that if you don't hold everything tightly, you'll lose it. But love isn't something you hold on to. It's something you nurture. It's not about power. It's about partnership. And partnership requires both of you showing up with open hearts, willing to risk being seen, willing to risk being hurt. Because you know that's the only way to experience the fullness of connection. The irony is the more you try to control, the less control you actually have. Because control pushes people away, it creates resentment, it creates rebellion, but vulnerability pulls people closer, it creates safety, it invites loyalty, it invites devotion. Because nothing builds trust like saying, here I am, no mask, no act, just me. When a woman sees that you're willing to lead with vulnerability, she doesn't just feel admiration, she feels trust, she feels respect. She feels a deep knowing that she's with a man who won't pretend, won't manipulate, won't hide behind bravado. And that trust is the soil where deep, lasting love takes root. So if you want a woman to be deeply obsessed, not in a superficial way, not in a controlling way, but in a way that makes her choose you over and over again, stop leading with control. Start leading with vulnerability. Let her see your heart, not just your achievements. Let her see your struggles, not just your victories. Let her see the man you're becoming, not just the man you've already been. Because love doesn't grow in control. Love grows in truth. And the most powerful truth you can offer is the courage to be fully seen. That's what makes her stay. That's what makes her trust. That's what makes her love you, not for the image you present, but for the man you really are. A woman doesn't fall deeply in love because you're perfect. She doesn't stay because you've reached some final version of yourself. What makes her stay, what makes her invest, what makes her obsessed in the most beautiful way is the way you never stop growing and the way you inspire her to grow too. Love isn't a place you arrive. It's a journey you walk together. And if you want to build a love that lasts, if you want a woman to feel deeply connected to you, you have to be the kind of man who's always reaching, always learning, always evolving, not just for yourself, but for the relationship, for the future you're creating together. Too many men think once they've won her love, the work is over. They think the goal was to get her attention, to get her to say yes, to get her commitment. But love isn't won once, it's won every single day, and the way you win her again and again is by never staying still, by refusing to settle for comfort, by showing her that being with you means being part of a journey that's always moving forward. Because deep down, every woman wants to feel like the relationship is alive. She wants to feel like there's momentum, like there's growth, like there's a future being built together, not just a past being maintained. When you stop growing, you stop leading. When you stop growing, the relationship begins to shrink. It starts to feel routine, predictable, stagnant. And nothing kills desire, nothing kills emotional connection faster than stagnation. A woman's heart isn't captured by sameness, it's captured by possibility, by vision, by movement. And the man who keeps growing, the man who keeps stretching beyond his comfort zone, the man who keeps asking, how can I love better? How can I lead better? How can I live better? That's the man who keeps her heart engaged. Inspiring growth doesn't mean you're constantly achieving outward success. It doesn't mean you're obsessed with titles, money, status. It means you're committed to becoming the best version of yourself in every area that matters, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, relationally. It means you're willing to confront your flaws, to own your mistakes, to ask hard questions about yourself and the relationship. It means you're not afraid of change. You welcome it, you invite it, you seek it out. Because you know that love isn't about protecting your ego. It's about growing into someone who can love more fully, more deeply, more generously. And when a woman sees you growing, when she sees you challenging yourself, when she sees you stepping into new levels of wisdom and strength, something powerful happens. She doesn't just admire you, she's inspired by you. She feels drawn into that growth. She starts to ask herself, how can I grow too? She begins to believe that by loving you, by standing beside you, she's becoming a better version of herself as well. And that shared growth is what transforms love from something fragile into something unstoppable. You don't inspire growth by preaching at her. You don't inspire growth by controlling her. You inspire growth by modeling it, by showing her through your actions, through your humility, through your hunger to keep learning. You inspire her by the way you carry yourself, by the way you navigate failure, by the way you stay curious about life, about love, about yourself. And when she sees that example, when she feels that energy, she'll be drawn closer, not just to the man you are now, but to the man you're becoming. Never stop inspiring growth. Never settle into the lie that love is enough on its own. Love needs movement. Love needs purpose. Love needs direction. And the moment you stop reaching, the moment you stop stretching, the relationship starts shrinking. Be the man who keeps asking more of himself, not out of insecurity, but out of love. Be the man who keeps building, keeps creating, keeps believing there's more ahead. Because when you do, you don't just hold her attention, you hold her trust. her admiration, her loyalty. A woman wants to believe that life with you will always be an adventure. That loving you means stepping into a future full of possibility, not a repetition of the past. So keep growing, keep leading, keep inviting her into that journey. And you'll find that love doesn't just stay alive, it grows stronger, deeper, more meaningful with every step you take together.